Because you've been doing little flybys my house.
Did you turn it on?
Well,
or just
I'm
leave it on?
not waking you up.
Turn it on.
Alrighty.
Well, one day you did. I was like, I go flying out of bed, like, what in the hell was that? I look out the window, it's Bill. I'm like, I'll get you.
Well, you know, we're kind of the alarm clock for the county.
Oh, I have a problem.
If we're up, everybody else needs to be up.
Well, depends on what time you go to bed.
And that's true. We do have to go to bed a little bit earlier than most everybody.
Joe Boy's dad showed up at our house one morning very early, and he said to my dad, well, I was up, I thought you ought to be too. So,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is Cody out playing today?
Yes.
I thought I saw one.
Was that him spraying that little corner of Lambos there this morning?
No, that was, the guy from Billings,
No, that yellow plane.
that yellow turban, yeah. Yeah, we're down on the other end right now. So,
Yeah, that guy, it must have a lot of power, that plane, those power lines, you got to, gosh, dang it, it's just driving, watching, made me nervous.
Call this meeting of Brother County Commissioners to order.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Open this meeting up for public comment. Public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the Commissioners' Community Update. See, I attended the Recreation Board meeting, the Hospital Board meeting, Copper City Bike Trails, and union negotiations.
Yeah, I did union negotiations, hospital meeting, and, one was Marion, looked at some roads.
I did the trust board meeting, which is working in concert with the recreation board meeting, attended that as well. The Elkhorn Restoration Committee is working on comments for the forest revision plan. And if this commission doesn't have any comments to submit, we would have no standing. So we'll need to review what they're putting together, as well as the forest plan, and make sure that we have a comment. Hospital meeting, the Copper City Bike Trails, that's pretty exciting. Union negotiations, and that's about it.
Let's see, we got minutes from July 19th, or July 9th.
Move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Motion been made and second to approve minutes as submitted for July 9th, 2018. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Have claims here in the amount of $4,878.57.
I'll move to pay the approved claims in the amount of $4,878.57.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to pay claim in the set amount. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Memos from accounting department for DIS and Connect Telephone monthly maintenance charges. from Laser Substructures Incorporated for advertisement for services. Formal authorization letter from the Bureau of Land Management for work on Toston Dam Road for emergency repairs. Authorization for excavation materials. Inclusive Economic Development Fulfilling Dreams Annual Conference. Memorandums of understanding from the Montana Stock Growers Association Predator Control for sheep and cattle. I just need a motion to sign these.
And what is the? All right, I will move that we sign the Montana Stock Growers Association Predator Control Fund MOU for a total tax roll count of cattle of 17,471 at 50 cents a piece.
I'll second.
That's, do we want to include the sheep with that one?
I'll do that one separate.
Okay. Motion been made to sign said agreement, all in favor?
Aye.
Same, motion carries. What is this, 16?
It is, all day.
Too long, it's not gonna go back. Okay, so 2 of these we have to mail back to them, and one I would assume we keep.
All
They
right.
will mail second one back. We need a motion to approve the sheep depredation fund.
I will move that we sign the Wool Growers Association MOU for the Sheep Depredation Fund for 2,094 sheep at 50 cents a piece.
I'll second.
Motion been made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carries.
Hey Mike, can I ask you to sign this one and
Yeah,
this
sure.
one? That way we have one that's signed for the commission records as well. Thank you.
Okay, let's see, next on the agenda, Allison Costco Extension Agent Monthly Update.
Good morning.
Good
Morning.
So I'm excited I finally have Michaela with me. I think the last couple of months I said, she's here, she's working, I promise. So I want to introduce Michaela Hudson. She's been our summer intern since the middle of May, and just give her opportunity to introduce herself and talk about some of the things that she's been doing this year. Okay?
So as Allison said, I'm Michaela Hudson. I am currently going to be a senior at Montana State University studying agricultural education. And I've had a fantastic time here in Broadwater County this summer. I guess I've been doing a lot of youth development stuff, I did a rafting trip. We only had 2 kids go, but it was still a ton of fun. And there was some talk between the two of them that they wanted to do another rafting trip, but with the restricted amount of time that we have, I don't know that that's going to happen. I have wrote an article for the local newspaper and the MSU blog. Went to Congress last week, took 10 kids, and they did a really good job. Our livestock team with only 3 members got 2nd place overall.
Congratulations.
Yeah, they did a really good job. Tyler Noyes got a $1,000 scholarship from the Farm Bureau. And I hope I'm remembering this correctly. I should have written it down, but Andrew Ferret got 3rd in his speaking contest, and Tyler got 2nd in his speaking contest. So all of our kids did a really good job. And it was a lot of fun. Guess the only other thing that I've been really working a lot on is the weed curriculum for the extension office. So,
Yeah,
Oh,
so-
nice work, and to the kids as well.
yeah,
That's
it was
excellent.
a lot of fun.
And earlier on in the summer too, we kept her busy with babysitter training and 4-H camp and some stuff too early on in the summer. So, yeah.
Yep.
And she's been pretty busy. So it's been wonderful to have her since we've been a little shorthanded. She's also been filling in the office since I haven't had anyone else there. So she's been answering phones and helping with fair and entries and all that fun stuff. So not near as excited as some of these other projects she's been working on, but very valuable to me and the office and the county. So the other exciting news is a week ago today, Katria Schindel started as the new administrative assistant, and she's jumped right in because she started on fair entry deadline day, and so there's been really no rest for her yet. So, but I'm very excited to have her, and was hoping she's met a couple of you, but hoping she could make it, but she had a flat tire this morning, so that was kind of a bummer to start Monday morning.
But that'll do it.
Yes, that'll do it. Yeah, right. I had a low tire this morning, so I ran that to the shop. So it must be like something going on right now. I don't know. Anyone else have flat tires?
My wife did.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
See, there's something going on. I tell you.
Gophers with nails.
Oh yeah, that'll do it. And then other things, I guess a few other things. Obviously, fair is just around the corner. We're looking at about 2 weeks. And entries came in last week for us anyway, not Open Class, they're still working on it. We are seeing a fairly large increase in entries. We have about 70 more indoor exhibits than last year. We'll see if they all follow through, but regardless, I mean, I imagine most of them will. So 70 more indoor exhibits, which is a lot. And then a few more livestock as well. So everything is going to be stuffed to the brim this year. But that's okay. Michaela gave you the Congress update. Egg programs, we last Saturday just had Backyards of Broadwater. I don't know if any of you guys went, but we're still trying to kind of figure out how we did compared to last year. We have different people selling tickets, and so we haven't compiled all that data yet. We seem to have sold more, but again, that's just, perception from people coming into the office. But that program is organized by our local master gardeners, and I kind of help them facilitate that process to highlight a lot of our community gardens and people who are doing some really neat things in their backyards. So it was fun. And then the other thing Michaela's been working on is doing some crop insect monitoring. She did the alfalfa weevil last month, and this month she's finishing up the wheat midge monitoring. So we did find one midge, which has kind of been the trend every year, as we find 1 or 2 midges. So right now we're still keeping things at a very low level, which is good. It's obviously the insect is here. It's not at a level that we're really concerned about. We'll just keep watching and hope that it doesn't reach that level. And then we're getting an increase in samples and calls this year. I think I've sent more things to the lab this year than I ever have, which I guess is a trend across the state. I don't know if it was the wet spring and early summer we had, but it's maybe increasing some issues that we haven't seen in the past. I sent in a wheat sample for scald, which was pretty unusual. And so, plus we're seeing more backyard samples too. And then working on a couple programs for August. On August 14th, we have a UAV drone and agriculture type of program out at the fairgrounds. And we have a guest speaker coming all the way from Idaho to talk and do some demonstrations on how drones can be used. He's got a spray drone he's going to demonstrate. So it should be pretty interesting. Looking forward to that. Hopefully have some information out maybe even this week on that. And then at the end of August, my Master Gardeners are working on a program on seed saving, like heirloom seeds, and how to save them correctly and what to do, how to store them, all that. And that corresponds with the seed library that they put together this year. So that'll be we're looking at August 30th for that one. So it's kind of scary to think about. The programs are starting to pick up again because we kind of take a little break in the summer because other things pick up, and now we're already like going back into program mode, and that's a little scary for me to think about because I'm not ready. I'm not even through fair yet. So, do you guys have any questions, concerns, comments for us?
No, I think you guys are doing an excellent job. No.
All right. Well, thank you again. Michaela will be here at least through fair. Probably
Good.
Yep.
the weekend of fair.
Till
So,
15th.
yep. So she'll be around. And if you ever need anything, you know how to get a hold of me.
Michaela, when does school start again for you?
That's a good question. I haven't actually thought about it. I know it starts the Monday after the 21st. I know that
Okay.
because that's when I go back to work at Miller Dining Hall.
Wow.
So my brain hasn't gotten that far ahead yet.
So you're not
Still-
taking any time for yourself, just going straight from
Yes.
here to school?
Yes. I'll
Wow.
get done here and then I'll hopefully move into my new place in Bozeman if I find one. And then I'll go straight back to school and work. So.
Well, good luck with your senior year, and thank you for everything you've done for us.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Let's go ahead with Mary and WWC Mike Conkey, Toston Road, Dam Road update.
Yep, I'm just getting some estimate information. All right. Who wants front and center? We'll go front and center. Sorry, I wasn't being rude, I got a, so we developed a set of preliminary plans. Basically to do, not a temporary fix, but kind of an intermediate type fix for this road. When you look at this section of the Toston Dam Road, it's basically on the entire thing's on an old slumping hillside. So it's going to continue to move no matter what we do in there, unless we just have an open-ended budget, which I know we do not. So what we looked at was a combination of two things to give us some time. One, do kind of what they call a deep patch, which is essentially excavate out where that slide occurred, and kind of from talking to the guys that did the excavation out there, there's about a 3-foot layer of clay. It's real sticky, real black. That kind of slopes. It's about 6 feet down and then slopes out, and then kind of has to daylight out there on the hillside. It was super saturated. My guess is that's probably a really good guess as to why that happened, right? So in order to do a deep patch, what you've got to do is kind of start before that, kind of on the corner right there before that hill, and then go about another 150 feet and excavate down at about a 3-to-1 slope, remove that material out, which we're guessing is about 12 feet. And you're gonna hear guessing and estimate a lot here, because we had to put this together in a very short time frame, and we didn't have time to go out and excavate and really define what's going on. But we believe that's probably what's going on there, is that clay layer and that saturation is what caused that to occur. From that point, we've got a very, very steep hillside going up on the backside. We've talked to BLM, kind of negotiated being able to cut that back at about a 1-to-1 slope, put a bench in, and then go back up at another 1-to-1. So that'll give you a little bit more room, which is good. And so if we do the combination of those two things, I think it'll give you some time. I don't know if it's going to give you 5 years or 20, but it'll give you some time. When we first looked at this whole fix, I estimated it being around $50,000. Since that time, I talked to BSE, which I know the road crews use a lot. Really, I think they can probably knock this out for somewhere around $35,000. Just looking at, I picked this up this morning from them. You know, their excavation and disposal, and these are based on some assumptions as well, as far as where can we get rid of the material that we're taking out, where are we going to be hauling it from. I think we're still kind of working on that. And so, you know, they're talking $550 a yard to $850 a yard, which is really, really good. A lot better than we're seeing on most excavation sites. So what the deep patch, let me move back to that a little bit, would consist of, and I've brought the preliminary plans here for you guys to kind of take a look at. But in essence, if you look at all these kind of together, and this one really kind of tells the tale better than anything else, is we're going to take that material out and bring it back in lifts, and then we'll put geotextile fabric in between to stabilize. And basically what you're doing is building a bridge with that geotextile, and then your granular material, geotextile, granular material. And when you bring that up in layers, it kind of builds a bridge across that spot that failed. And then again, if we can bench this up a little bit and give yourself a little bit of room there, that'll help. Anyway, there's 4 copies here, 5 copies total, I think, that I brought over. Anyway, that's what we got in a nutshell.
So one thing that might reduce that cost a little bit and is what I'd like to do is maybe coordinate with roads once we determine our course of action, coordinate with the road crew, and I'd actually like to take that fill material out of there and put it down on Price Road. There are several areas that we need to raise the grade on that road, and this would be great material for that activity. So if we can coordinate, you know, dump trucks and a grader operator, we can go ahead and, as we're pulling that material out of there, we can go ahead and dump it, and I'll have a grader operator over there and he can get it installed. So
yeah, if BSC doesn't have to haul this out, if all they've got to do is push it, then your cost goes down.
So that would be a great use for this.
2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah,
I like
Yes.
it.
essentially, we do need some material down on Price Road. Mary and I and TJ looked at that, 3 weeks ago or so?
3 or 4 weeks ago.
And yeah, there's definitely some areas down there, and we need to put a couple of culverts in and do some fill, and that would help that road tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Looks good.
at any rate, and you know, I don't know what the MDT guys have come up with for a memo, but at least talking to them on site, you know, preliminarily, your options are pretty limited unless you want to spend a lot of money. You know, there's all kinds of, you know, soil nailing and, you know, soil stabilization techniques, but What I'm concerned about is that whole hillside and just that it's been migrating over time, and to put a bunch of money into that doesn't really make sense from my standpoint. I think we try to get in here and we patch it the best we can and put a little bridge in, and we may have issues with it somewhere down the road, but I'm not sure that that can be avoided.
We do have a letter too from BLM, we'll get you a copy, but they gave their blessing.
Okay.
Those benches up above, I think will help a lot.
Yeah, it takes some of the pressure off.
Yeah.
A little bit, and you know, hopefully we can get some of that, you know, drainage to facilitate out in the way, and the granular material will kind of intercept any of that. Drainage is kind of coming into that area too, so hopefully it'll help.
If you do get more slides on this thing, is it gonna push this dam out, or is the hope that it's gonna go over the top of it?
So, brings me to the next part of it. If it does slide underneath, then it could push that out. I don't think it's gonna do it anytime soon, but there is that possibility it does that. It really depends on where that slip plane kind of goes. And if it goes up above and slips and comes underneath it, yeah, it's gonna push the whole thing out. And there's not much we can do about it. Besides just tearing the whole hillside out.
That's a pretty steep hillside.
We don't have, probably time, resources, or money to take care of that, so. But yeah, I mean, I think one of the bigger things is just, you know, that saturated clay layer. When we get down and excavate that, we're gonna know a lot more. And, you know, I think what the key is getting a contractor on board, getting a unit price pinned down, and then you just go with that unit price. I don't think it's gonna be a whole lot more extensive than what we've kinda got estimated there, but, you know, it could be, you know, plus or minus 25% on the materials. So.
Is there anything in here to allow for removal of some of this material that slid down and put pressure on that siphon, or is this simply?
That's
are we
gonna be.
remove any slide dirt off, or is that staying where it's already went down on?
You know, they'll be
onto the
able to
site?
pull some of that out, Mike, but that's a really steep slope, and, you know, so they'll be able to reach out there a little bit, but I wouldn't want them to get too close to that edge either. And so, you know, they'll be able to get some of it, but most of that stuff, you know, I don't think is putting too much of a burden on that siphon at this point, from what I looked at the other day.
Yes, sir.
John, I was gonna help you. I'm John Connors with DNRC and geotech by trade, so it's right up my alley. So when we looked at our siphon down below, it didn't look like the slip plane had gone through down there and caused any damage. We're gonna go take a look this fall when the water's off and see if we see any cracking or anything, just to verify that, but we didn't see that. Most everything on the slide looked fairly superficial, meaning we just kind of cut through the road and came out on the surface there. So taking some material, or the material that was piled on there to kind of fill in the hole, will be a huge help, just to take that off so we aren't driving an additional slide down onto that area. So other things we've talked about, we're gonna have to go in and clean off what did come out down on the site.
The road there, yeah, it's
Right.
got some big
We
rocks.
need to get access through there.
Yep.
But we didn't see a large mass of material down on top of that, which is a good thing.
Yeah. Perfect.
The,
Thanks, I didn't see that case.
Siphon, is it under the road or below the road and back in the hill? a little
Which road? I just wanna verify.
more? Okay, you got
Service
the
road.
river, and then you have that little road that
Yeah,
we
our
drive
access road.
alongside the siphon.
Right.
But is that tube lower than that road?
Yes.
And back in the hill, so actually that road is higher than the siphon.
Yeah, so that, the siphon, I believe, is below, basically the river
I
level.
mean,
right
based
now.
on the pump out, or the drain that we put in,
Right,
it would appear that that's what it was, but I wanted to verify that. 'Cause
Right.
if that's the case, it looks like we have a very good chance of being below the fault level.
Right,
But
yes.
we don't know that for sure, but it looks like it is.
It did look, I would agree with John, I think the slip lane was well above the site,
Yeah.
quite a ways above.
Yeah, everything I could map out, safely, because it is fairly unstable through there. It looked like it had come out fairly high, because that is a big steep slope through
I
there.
suspect we have elevations on it from the original drawings.
Correct. Yeah, if we needed to shoot through there, from our, our entrance and exit, we could, really determine where that sits in there. But yes, I believe we are below by quite a ways, and we didn't see any, structures forming through there that indicated we were having a problem.
So this, on this, where's this fill coming from?
That's what we're trying to figure out. I think we looked at the pit that's just down there by.
The Rabine pit.
Yeah, the Rabine pit. Down by Leonard Silos. So if we can get material out of there, that's close. They've got some pretty good granular material in there that would work.
What's the estimation of the yards estimate?
Oh, it's actually on the drawings.
Or did you, maybe you
It's
already
right-
said and I missed it?
Right there. And yeah, just so we were looking at, just for the, for the excavation and disposal on that deep patch area, it's about, 925 to 950 yards. The slope cut is the bigger one, it's a little over 2,000 yards, and then, you've got quite a bit of geogrid and a little bit of geotextile in there too.
Roughly 4,000 yards to take out of there,
Yeah,
roughly speaking.
roughly, yeah, plus or minus. To and from.
What's your time frame on this?
So, from the road perspective, I will just say that it's not a priority for us in roads, because there are no residences back there. So, as far as access, the county doesn't need access back there, no. It's more from the users, the water users, or DNRC to get their people and equipment back there, and BLM for recreation. Did we figure out how many days this would take? I mean, I think it'll be done in less than a week.
I'm guessing it's probably gonna take, probably at least 2 full weeks to
Okay,
get this done.
all right.
Yeah,
Well,
Okay.
that's gonna depend on available trucks,
yeah, yeah.
that's a lot of material to move.
2 to 3 weeks is what we
Okay.
kinda initially estimated, and I think
Okay.
TJ estimated about 3 weeks
Okay. All right.
total. If you bring in somebody like BSC to do it, it'll probably speed it up a little
Mhm.
bit.
And if we do have excess material, what I was gonna do is talk to DNRC. There's a really nice flat spot coming into, off of that category. That's DNRC ground that I would like to talk to them about if we have to store any material, if we could store it there temporarily. Because it is fill material that we can use elsewhere if it's too much for Price Road. So,
So when we were up there with the guy from BLM, with Mike, he was talking about, are you still gonna take some of that dirt in and fill that hole that's
To the
down
east.
the road from there, or are you not gonna?
I would rather not do that. I would rather not do that. I would like to take this material. I would like to take this material and use it on Price Road. And we have a couple other areas that we need to build up the roads nearby. And I'd like that to be available for that as well. And it'd be a lot easier if it was stockpiled there, just just east of that cattle guard.
Particularly, we were looking at some of the roads over between Crow Creek and Warm Springs that flooded
Warm Springs Creek.
early.
Long Mountain.
And so there's quite a bit of material, some of those roadways are actually lower than the existing ground, and so that's why they were channelizing, so to speak. And so if we can build those up and get some good ditches in there, that would help a bunch. But we gotta get a plan, so if we have a little storage area first, it's not a very far haul over there to get that done.
So the 35,000 roughly.
Yeah, I would guess, it's gonna be around $40,000 by the time it's done. Like I say, we're guessing a little bit on, how deep and those kind of things, but somewhere in that ballpark, yes.
Okay, so could they bid off of the plans that you have given us?
They've done that.
Oh, okay.
And basically on this stuff, if the county buys the geotextiles, they're just charged like $1 a square yard to install it, which is right in the ballpark of where they should be. So we have that right here.
Okay. So really what you need from us is a vote to proceed? Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
All right.
I think DNRC might be interested in financially helping us, now that you have the total cost.
I would have to go back to management. So far, they have not, they don't have any money for this.
Okay.
So I would have to go back to my management on that.
Just bill you.
Whatever, Chad.
Well, David, when are you looking at having those, the equipment brought in for your,
As soon as we can.
okay,
We don't have a time frame.
okay. And you're gonna start that work, do you have a scheduled start date for when you were gonna start that work?
Next week, but
Okay,
I canceled them back, so
right,
that's because the divers were available then.
okay, all right.
I have a question concerning the construction. Can Keith Brugge, the ditch rider, still get up there on a daily basis on an ATV?
I believe that could probably be accommodated, yes.
Okay. And won't close the road for several days or anything like that?
I mean, they'll definitely have some areas, but on an ATV, you could certainly probably accommodate some paths.
They're gonna have to keep it possible for the dam, they're not gonna keep those guys locked in there for 7 days. I don't think.
We got MRE.
They got boats, I know they can get up there that way.
I'll let them know they're getting MREs for a week.
Isn't
They'll be
there
excited.
a dockside at the pump station, Leonard, they could get in there?
I think it's
I guess what I'm saying there is if we know what needs to be accommodated, then we can talk to the contractor and make a plan, right, and kind of make something work.
Yeah, it's kind of dependent on the time of year, things like that, and how often he's getting up there and doing work. Because we will lose access across the Siphon Road also, because it'll be too dangerous to get through there, there'll be materials coming down.
Yeah, nobody wants to be going across there unless we have some sort of protocol.
I had a question. Sean, you mentioned that there's like a big clay layer there that needs to be pulled out.
Yes.
So I guess my suggestion would be, and this relates to the Price Road thing, is that if you can separate out that.
That will not be transported to
Yeah.
Price Road, no.
That will cause more problems than we already have.
That one's gonna be wasted, so rest assured.
Clay down there.
Good enough.
They're old clay.
Way high down there.
All right, I just want to make sure.
Now, I understand that we can't require a copay plan that I think Mike had brought forward, maybe working with other entities as copay, but because the county took over this road not by petition, that we are obligated ourselves to pay for it. Am I getting that right? Mike, I think you brought that to us.
I brought that
This week?
Attorney General's opinion to you, but the county has an option of determining what level of maintenance they want. Counties often put road restrictions in, like for instance, up the haul route to Pegasus Mine.
if they wanted to bring in a lot of equipment, they had to improve that road. Same with Graymont. The county has an option to decide, okay, this is the way limits on that road. And if you want it, at certs brought up to level, you can require the industry to pony up some money on that. It's your choice. It's the commissioner's choice to decide how you want to maintain the road. Just, you cannot close the road permanently. You can now under the emergency situation. These are Attorney General's opinions that we came up with. So you can decide what you want to do there on that road. You just can't. To abandon the road, you have to go through another petition process.
Okay.
And that probably wouldn't, I don't think either the Broad Run or Missouri Water users would sign that petition. Incidentally, I do have a water right on Broad Run. So does Frank.
All right, well, I will move that we proceed with this project, and I'll make the next comment separate.
I'll second that motion.
I would like us to send a letter requesting BLM and DNRC and possibly the Missouri River water users are also pony up a little bit of money on this thing. DNRC's, I don't know what kind of, is this gonna handle the loads that they're bringing in?
That's a good question. We'll have to see what they've got. I don't know what kind of equipment they're bringing in.
What's your crane required to bring a crane up there?
I would have to ask Montana Crane what their cost.
What are those bulkheads gonna cost?
Bulkheads are 13 tons on a flatbed. So it's whatever a flatbed truck weighs plus about 13 tons.
Okay.
That's not bad there.
It's not
13
terrible.
tons isn't bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you got enough tires and everything to get through it.
Yeah.
So to proceed with that, I'd like to maybe go ahead and have a vote on the motion, and then talk about the strategy for payments and timing, if we could.
Motion's been made and seconded to give the go-ahead on this project to repair Tossin Dam Road. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carried.
I agree with Mike. I would like to see a partnership here with the road to the extent that we can. And I guess I would leave that to you guys to, I know we're obligated, but we're not obligated to do it tomorrow. I know there's need, so I would suggest maybe use your talents of negotiation and chat with those partners and see what you can come up with.
Okay.
And then, I know you won't be dragging your feet, to get anything done, but to the extent that you can, I would suggest that we do have some partnership in there, funding this. 30 to 45,000 split 4 ways is not that much for anybody.
No.
And I think that's probably a pretty fair range right there.
Is that agreeable, Mike?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that a letter that you would like to sign?
It would be a good idea, I
Okay.
think, for us to
So,
sign it, yeah.
okay, so I can work with Sean and Mike. We'll draft up a letter and, okay.
So in reality, we're at least a month off, aren't we?
Probably.
That'd be the quickest within a whole month
Yeah,
or longer.
I would say that's correct.
Okay, so that everybody gets, great expectations.
Mhm.
It'll be
It's not gonna happen.
the middle of August or later.
Yeah.
So is it gonna be a month before you get started, or a month before you're completed?
I would hope it's not a month before we get started, but.
Yeah, I would hope not, but
Okay.
Are you gonna try to get another estimate? Is that the reason there'd be a delay?
No, I don't think so. I think we just got some details to work through on where we're gonna put it,
So it shouldn't take that long.
where we've gotta get material from. And I would, these this pricing is really good, and you could spend a lot of time going out to bid, and I would recommend that you don't. You have authority to hire somebody direct for this amount, so I would recommend just doing that and getting it done.
I agree, plus BSC is local.
So other than finding where you're gonna get the material, where you're gonna either stockpile or whatever, that's about the only thing that's really
I
gonna
think
hold
those
it
are
up,
the
isn't it?
two major.
Yeah, those are the two
How's
major.
BSC's schedule?
They're busy, but they understand, and they basically said we'll
Get her done.
get it done.
Will reaching out to partners delay us on this at all, do you think?
That's a good question, but
No, I think, I hesitate to proceed without that. I think if I can, I'll draft a letter, and if I can get something to you before the end of this week for signature that we can send out, as long as we have that. Because what I would like to do then is follow up with a phone call and say, this letter is coming, this is what we're gonna ask for, just so that they have a heads up. And at that time, I can get a, yes, maybe we can find some money, or no, we don't have anything. We're gonna have some idea. Can we pay for it out of the roads budget? I think if we can, maybe some of those costs will be lower if we take it off and we don't have them move it.
right.
Then I guess I'm pretty comfortable with what we have in our budget, right now, potentially using the new gas tax money that we have for that. That's obligated to roads anyway. I had other plans for that, but that's okay. This does need to be taken care of. So, if that's okay to proceed that way?
I'm good with that.
Okay. All
How
right.
long would it take DNRC to get permission to stockpile material there?
Honestly, we can't answer that, 'cause
That's-
it's state land.
That's state lands.
It's a
so
different division.
Different division of
That'll
the
be
NRC.
the other Kevin, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. That'll probably take a week for them to grant that permission at least.
at least.
How big a pile does it end up? You can rattle off yards, but give me feet.
Well, divide by 27, or multiply by 27.
What's that?
So if you stockpiled it 12 feet high, what are we looking? Couple 100 feet long at least?
Yeah.
Okay, so not really that.
It's not gonna be like a gigantic pile. I mean, 2,200 yards
Yeah.
is not.
Questions we'll probably also have to answer is how are you gonna do any sort of weed control? It's gonna be there any time period. What is the time period it's gonna be there? How's it gonna be removed? Things
Yeah.
like that.
Right.
All that.
Where does the state
I
come
got it.
in if it goes on private land?
Card.
What's that?
If it goes on private
I'll
land,
call
you
this
still under
afternoon.
all those questions?
No.
No, I wouldn't think so. I mean, that's an agreement. between the
I
county
don't
and
stay
the
that current on all the up to snuff stuff, so that's the reason I asked your question.
Okay. Did everything covered?
Yep, I think so.
All right.
Good.
I think that's all we have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Thanks.
You bet.
Was Fred gonna be here,
I never heard anything. I thought unless this is in like for anybody, no. I don't know. I didn't. Last I heard. And the one said he'd be here too, and he isn't here, so then maybe they decided on something else.
Wanna go track down the county attorney? I could do that.
copy of that for you and to take, or?
I really don't need it,
Okay.
We can put it in the commission office if
Right.
anybody wants to come in and take a look.
or I could put one up on the counter in case somebody's interested in it. I can put it on.
That'll work, yeah.
You just gave me this and email it to Sean.
That'd be awesome.
Okay.
Thanks, Ann.
You bet.
So the month would be approximately the end of August, probably. That's the dates when they're between the middle and the end of August. Depends on how fast they can get
I
this
would
stuff.
think so, yeah.
Hello.
Aye.
Looks like you got some stuff. Let's see. Corey Swanson, County Attorney, Road Department, Teamsters Collective Bargaining Agreement, Springville Hyman Boundary Location, Longhorn Driveway, Solid Waste Interlocal, County Attorney budget. Okay.
Lock and load, right? All right. So first one is the Teamsters Road Department issue. And so basically where we are is we finished up with agreement on pretty much everything. There's a couple of minor, there's a typo here and there. There's Article 11 was, they had a whole sick and bereavement leave section, and that was taken out in the county. We're just gonna say the county policy applies here. There were just a couple of odds and ends that it all came down to two things. One was compensation, which the commission never agreed to the increased compensation request that they had. And the second was whether to do how long of an agreement should we do? Now, they had wanted a 1-year agreement, we had suggested a 3-year agreement. So what happened was the union ratified a 1-year agreement and sent it to us. And so it's our decision, it's your decision. Do you want to just accept that ratification of a 1-year agreement, in which case we might as well start negotiations again right now? Or do you want to say, we hadn't agreed to that and go back to another meeting with them? And that's really, other than a couple of language cleanups, that's really the only issue that is right now to be addressed. So, what are your thoughts?
I'd rather stay with the 3, but I think so too.
I say it's their choice, if they wanna ratify 1 or 3, I'm fine sticking with 3 with the commission. I personally think it's their choice, but I'd go either way, doesn't make any difference to me.
Yeah, I mean, pros and cons are just that you're doing the sheriff's office agreement right now as well. So my guess is that when that's done, then they would want to reinitiate the negotiations for this, because this would expire then, June 30th next year. Or, well, it'll be 1 year from whenever we sign it, but it'll be next summer. That's it. You tell me what you want me to do, and I will let them know.
Well, I think I'd stick with the 3 on my part.
Yeah.
Corey, does the union wanna do a yearly?
They wanted to do a 1 year because basically they didn't get anything that they asked for. They didn't get the raises and the longevity that they asked for. So they don't want to be locked into basically a non-advantageous CBA for 3 years. They want to have 1 year so they can basically reinitiate negotiations right away.
Seems like a painful experience to go through.
Oh, this thing's been painful. We've been at it for over a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been painful.
I find it.
And then just start right back over again with Mount House at 1 year.
But well, I'll let
Do
them.
you need a motion for that, or just tell Corey what we, sticking with the 3 year?
Well, it's noticed, so it's basically, this would be like a caucus. That's your position, and I can communicate it back to them.
Okay.
We have a precedent set of 3-year union negotiated contracts, so I think that, that puts us on pretty solid ground.
Okay. Second item, it'll be real brief before we go to the one that I think there's gonna be a lot of discussion on. So on the Longhorn driveway, we have, the deputy, the sheriff's office has gone at all hours of the day, all days of the week, 10 times to try to find Mr. Barrett and deliver him the letter I've written for him to cease and desist. So we're gonna initiate a service by publication, and when that's done, then if he doesn't remove his driveway within that period of time, which is 30 days after publication, then I'm gonna ask you to authorize the road department to place something there. We can't remove his driveway without probably going through some kind of a process, but certainly in terms of placing something there in the driveway, saying this is an illegal driveway, don't use, and we're gonna have to just kind of figure out what to do. Ultimately, what has to happen is we're gonna have to either get him face to face or give him enough chances to be face to face to address it, that if we get sued over it, we've shown a strong track record of having done our due diligence to try to track him down. So we're doing the service by publication, and I'll let you know when that deadline is coming up, and then I would just ask you to authorize the road department to do some